Who do we say Jesus is? When Jesus asked his disciples how people thought of him, they answered with names that identified Jesus within a tradition of prophets that Matthew's community knew: John the Baptist, Elijah, Jeremiah. Jesus wanted to know, though, how his own disciples saw him. But who do you say that I am? Because that's different. So again, who do we say Jesus is? Not who do we think other people think Jesus is, but who do we say Jesus is? That might not be such an easy thing to answer, especially since following Jesus is often associated with certain partisan political viewpoints, even though a cursory look at the life and ministry of Jesus would show a commitment to justice and radically inclusive love. It's no secret that Christianity has a branding problem. I saw a t-shirt last week when we were up north that read, "Family, friends, faith, flag, firearms." I don't think the guy who was wearing it and I see Jesus the same way. It's not uncommon for me to hear folks say, "I believe in God," or "I'm a Christian, but I just can't be a part of what the church is doing right now." And that's fair. After our former president thought holding a Bible upside down could get him points during the uprisings in 2020, and after God's name has been used in vain over and over again to gain political points based on bigotry and hatred of the other in various ways, racism, xenophobia, transphobia, misogyny, to name a few, why would anyone want to follow that Jesus? Last year here at Lord of Light, we read and discussed the book Jesus and John Wayne together over a few weeks, and our discussion series culminated in a lecture by the author, Kristen Kobus-Dumais. One of the most important things I picked up from that book is that the seeming monolith that is today's cultural Christianity did not come about by accident. Back in the 1950s and 60s, this guy named Harold Akenga had a vision of an entire big E evangelical ecosystem, complete with radio and TV shows, Christian bookstores, and college parachurch organizations designed to disseminate a particular brand of Christianity. We've all witnessed it, and probably most of us have participated in it in one way or another. That brand promoted and still promotes male headship, which is also called complementarianism. That particular vision of a godly life, as well as policies that are advocated for by that brand, derives directly from that vision of a patriarchal world order. It's the same brand of Christianity I've seen plastered all over campus as I posted our flyers this week. For Lutherans, as well as other mainline progressive Christians, evangelism has become a dirty word. We've seen it done so badly. Perhaps we've experienced the bait and switch of a community that seemed welcoming but turned out not to be. We've heard street preachers shout condemnation from their soapboxes. We don't want to be like that. But often, we're so afraid of inviting someone to experience a healthy faith community that we end up keeping our own a secret. I don't believe Jesus was a complementarian. I don't believe God defines our lives based on our gender. I do believe that Jesus healed the sick, helped the oppressed, preached radical sacrificial love at all times, gave his life and rose again so that death would not have the last word. Who do we say Jesus is? It matters because there are folks out there convinced that Jesus is calling them to create communities by pushing other people out, convinced that Jesus is calling us to engage in so-called spiritual warfare, convinced that Jesus is calling us to love one another by engaging in hatred. But I believe Jesus is always calling us to invite each other in as beloved children of God, created to be who we are in community with one another. Because the thing is, even though our society holds independence and individuality in such high regard, it's really hard to do faith alone. Not possible, but hard. Faith and religion, by the way, are different from each other. Faith is the relationship between God and us. Religion is the human-made framework that, at its best, gives us tools to grow and journey in our faith, and at its worst is used to coerce and control. A healthy religion will always admit that it can be wrong and that it doesn't have all the answers. Healthy communities rooted in God's love support one another and show up for one another when things are difficult. Healthy communities give us space to ask our tough questions and help us sit in life's challenges and tensions. Healthy communities help us grow deeper in faith, in relationship with the one who created us, who loves us, and who always calls us to be more fully human. Who do we say Jesus is? It's important that we know and that we build our communities of faith in the image of the one whose resurrection gives us continual hope of life that is renewed and always renewing. Amen.